So yeah, dude. I've just been watching your stuff on the One Hit Nation. Oh my God, you guys are a godsend. It's like trying to, so I never played baseball growing up, kind of switched over from football and trying to find information. Like you can find baseball information pretty solid, but trying to find any solid softball information. I'm a coach, so I own like a performance center and everything. So like my BS meter is decent, like with a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, that dude is just like that just doesn't make sense skill acquisition wise and that type of thing. And then the way, or he just doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just kind of just throwing these things out there. But you guys, man, it's been so awesome to watch your guys' videos. It's so nice the way you speak about like the sport. It just makes sense to me. It's been awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of my passion. Like, I was never that good of a hitter, in college. I mean, I maybe career, through really 3 full years of college ball because my freshman year only had like 10 at bats. So, like, I was never great at hitting. I might have finished, career 290 across 3 seasons, 600 at bats. Like, it was a lot of ABs and stuff, but hitting was always a grind for me. Like I started going to like a local hitting coach that was like 60 at the time when I was like 11, right? Never had a hitting lesson. He was like, "Holy shit, like you have no chance. Like you're terrible." And so I worked with him every week for like 8 or 9 years, and then I started helping him coach younger kids when I was like 15. And that's when I kind of fell in love with the idea of like the physics of the swing, right? Like everybody gets so consumed with like, oh, he's 6'4", he's that, or this guy's got this. Like, yeah, there are some intangibles that to be a really elite hitter of any ball, right? Baseball, softball, to be really elite, you've got to have quick hands is first and foremost, right? Like I tell people that like that's one thing that some guys just don't have. Like there's some guys that when they swing a bat, it's like looking at quicksand, just terrible. But if you have quick hands, you can really learn the science behind the swing and be successful. That was like the initial video you sent me, right? Like very, very raw, like incredibly raw, but you had good hand speed, right? So, and then that second video, it's like, okay, now you're starting to see like your hips are getting engaged, that back knee is kind of working, and that those hands stay consistent, right? That hand speed never leaves you. All it's going to do as you improve your swing is they're going to get faster by swinging more efficiently.
Hmm.
So, like, I wish I could pull up. Let me see. That's why I was trying to get you on the computer so I could pull up your swing.
I can pull up something too if you need me to pull up
Yeah, yeah.
anything.
Pull up that initial video of your swing.
Okay, let me get to your
And
DM.
let me do this here.
Oh God, here it is. Let's pull this up.
Dude, I love that. I wish more guys would send me, if they're gonna send me videos, it's like, send me those videos. That's what I want to see.
All right, you got me.
Okay, here we go. Cool,
I'm gonna
cool,
see if I
cool.
can mute it. There we go.
All right. So
Get rid of the running. Oh, it's here. It's full screen. Did that. There we go.
perfect. Yes. Okay. So let's zoom in here on your initial start, right? So first thing like on this, right, is look at your backside. Like just in setup, I wish I had a little different view here, but I'll tell you in setup, your back knee, so that right knee, right? That kneecap, I guarantee you, if I was to swing around in the left hand's batter's box there, we would see that that knee is almost pointing backwards, like away from the first base dugout, if you will.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is if you go a little forward here, like in a slow mo,
Yeah, I'm gonna see
if
if
we
I
can
can
get it just like a frame or two forward.
see what Instagram gives me here.
Yeah, it's perfect. Keep going. Keep going. All right. So right there. So now look. So now you're driving off this backside in your head, right? Because you've squatted, you've got it in your back hip, like you have loaded somewhat, but look how closed off your front hip is, right? Look at the angle at where your front hip is pointing.
It's like pointed be almost, yeah, like you were saying, almost behind first base.
Yeah. So, and as you're loading, what's going to happen is the more you do that, the more that knee is going to continue to open the wrong way. So let me see if I can get video here where, is there a way to get back on my screen? And I just want to kind of show you like,
Yeah, you should be able to share screen. It should give you full access here.
I'm just trying to see where it's like, where am I?
Stop share. I'm gonna stop sharing.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So we took a look at that hip, right? So I pulled up a video here of me just of the border battle from a couple years ago. All right. So perfect right there. Please load. So take a look here at the back knee, right?
Yep.
My back knee is almost it's inside of that back foot. So what that creates, instead of feeling like you're rocking backwards, so like when you were loading there, let's see, flip this. All right, so your load, we'll get better at this every time we do it, I promise. So your load was this back knee was going here, right? Like rotating out away. Yep. So when you do that, the more energy you apply going back like that, the more exaggerated this close off feeling is going to be, right? The more that front hip is going to be at first base. Whereas in the stance where I was, right, loaded, but that back knee is inside of that back hip. So go to drive, your hips are still staying in line with the pitcher. We're not getting this look where you're having to fight across your body. And when we go back to your swing here in a second, you'll see you're trying to overcome that. And so you want it to feel more like this. We want front hip at pitcher. We don't want to feel this. Because my favorite line in hitting, and when I say these things, man, like you're gonna look and see that, like, yeah, I'm kind of closed off here, right? Like I am a little turned. But that's like that's right, that's millions of swings over time. I know like how much I can get away with here. I know if I need to juice up a little more, I know I can do that and still get to where I need to be. Our goal with you is to make every movement we're making be as efficient as possible. So I always talk about staying stacked, and I'll never not be a believer in that. Like staying stacked in a swing is back knee inside of our back foot with our hip over our back knee, with our back shoulder over our back hip. So we want foot, knee, hip all in line with that shoulder. And that's going to give you, you're so see, we got our back shoulder, back hip, back knee, back foot. What we got to get away from in our mind is, that's why I always hate that idea, that terminology of we got to load, right? We got to load for power. What are you loading? You're driving against your backside. I'm driving into all of my back leg. I want to feel like my back leg is almost driving me forward. I don't want to feel like I'm loading, especially in softball, man, because it's coming so slow. You have so much time. And even I do it. My biggest downfall is when that pitch is coming and I'm like, and I start, you start winding up almost.
Yep.
So let's go back to pull up that video, the second video, because I guarantee you, when we look at this video, you're going to be doing the things we were just talking about even more, right? In the correct way.
Okay, let's see if we can get this. Oh, are you serious? It's unsupported. Why is it unsupported? Trying to think of the best way. I might have some on YouTube here, actually. Let me see if I can pull up a difference.
Even if I can pull it up on YouTube, I will.
But yeah, I don't know why it's giving me unsupported. It's the same video.
Just tell me what it's under and I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I'll make sure I got it out here. Let's see if we got some softball stuff.
Yeah, in a perfect world, next time I'll host the meeting, or you can, and I'll get on the laptop with it. That way we can.
I think we got some swings here. Do you want me
Okay,
to send you
perfect.
the, you want me to send you this link so
Yeah,
you can
what it,
slow
or
down at you?
what is it on?
I'll send you this link just to make sure. I'm gonna make sure I got swings in here. I'm talking about other bullshit during this, but I think I got swings in here.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, so like 9 minute mark. Okay. I'll share this at this timestamp and then it should. Where's the chat? Oh, you want me to send it to you on Instagram or on here?
Either way, I think I might have found it, honestly. It's on your subscription page. What's your page? Because I'll
Yeah,
just
it should
subscribe.
just be Austin, New York. I don't know how to get rid of this damn. Yeah, I just DM'd it to you. That should work.
Oh, here we go. Here's a video of you. This will be perfect. Because you're actually hitting off the tee, which is what I kind of want. Okay. Let's take a look here. So I see. All right. So you're doing a drill that I like. I don't dislike at all, actually. Where you got your foot hooked in front.
So I was just gonna bring up those type of drills from driveline have been the only thing that have allowed me to feel that hip. Like before, it felt like I was doing exactly what you're saying, and I was really like creating linear, like I was like lunging because I couldn't get that hip engaged. And the only thing that was like allowed me to feel it was a lot of those driveline ones.
No,
But
no, no.
definitely,
Yeah, I love that. So I'm just let me look. I'm looking through these. I like that. So one I love you might have done is like the jump back.
yeah, step back drill.
Yeah, the
That
step
one
back
helped me
with
a
a
lot
hold.
too.
I would definitely say mix that in like a step back with a hold.
Step back with a
Like
hold.
yeah, so like jump into that position. And so what'll happen is if you're not where you're supposed to be, right? So we do that jump back idea where we're here and we get here. If you can't hold in this position, watch out, dummy. Lay down. Lay it. So if you can't get here and hold for a two snap, then you're not stacked, right? So start feet together, and what you're gonna feel if you're not staying inside is instantly you may be able to jump back, right, and then go straight forward. But I want you to feel like boom, go,
And then go. Okay.
and then go. And when you do that, what's gonna happen is you're gonna feel like you're building up that torque. That's one of my favorite like lines to use is like I'm building up the energy, right? We're storing energy in that backside because hitting is physics, right? So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you wrap that front shoulder, so like, look, let's see, this is a good view here. So biggest flaw on T work, my man, and it is not just you. Everybody does it, even the guys with Hitting Nation I go and hit with. Look at this front shoulder. Look at your feet, right? Like, here's the mound. Here's home plate. And you've got it lined up to work like through the middle. But what happens is that head. So, okay, so here's two things with T work you've got to take from today. This T has got to be up more. That's got to be out in front.
Out in front or higher?
Out in front.
Okay. Okay.
You want to feel like you're going to get the ball.
Okay.
Because what's happening here, like if we look at that swing, right? So you came, see how that ball that you just hit right there had tail to it, right? It was inside out.
Yep.
So let me watch a few of these and see what we do. Because yeah, we're still wrapping. We're closing off, which it's it's not good or bad. I mean it's more bad than good, but it's not like a deal breaker, right? So Let's just talk about, I can sit here and preach to you about the swing, but let's talk about some drills that we've got to implement to kind of get you trending in the right direction. Cause you're so close. You really are. A lot of it for you is going to be when we start, right? I do T work every BP session, and that should be where you start every time you go hit, which it looks like it is. So I want you setting that tee up nice and high, chest height, basically, maybe maybe a little lower if for comfort reasons. And I want you to just start 10 swings through the 4-hole.
Okay.
And so when I say swings, I don't want to see like big giant turn and wrap, trying to kill it through the 4-hole. What I want to see is really, I'll tell you to do this right now because it's going to help. I want you to start with that open stance, right? Where that front foot is kind of open.
Okay.
And I want you to feel like you've almost opened your chest to the pitcher. Not exaggerated like this, right? Like imagine I'm looking at the pitcher right now.
Yep.
I want you to just kind of feel like that front shoulder is just almost just slightly open, just like you were aiming it to the left side of second base.
Okay.
So you got the pitcher, you're looking right at him. Just take your shoulder and just let it just kind of rest open. And what that's going to do, two things. It's going to keep you visually seeing the ball better.
Yep.
Because look, I was very similar to you when I started. My initial flaw was this. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? I'll say if we keep doing these, man, you're gonna hear me say that over and over and over and over. Because if your action is this, what's the opposite reaction to that?
Well, I have the come forward. Yeah.
You're gonna fly wide open. You have to, because you can't deliver your barrel to the ball unless you do. So we know that when you go back and we watch your videos after making this adjustment, if we see this, I guarantee you two things. That ball is either going to have this inside out spin, which is okay. I don't knock that. That's fine. I do it. I'm bad about it. But like I tell people, if you're not 6'4", 260, with crazy bat speed that I was just kind of born with, it is a problem because most people can't afford to lose 20, 30 feet of ball flight. Like, it's just not okay. We don't want that. So that's what I want to see is when we load, we're here. You're going to close off, right? Like, this is inevitable. I don't expect anybody to be like this. Like, that's not the goal. I just know that if I tell you, like, we want to feel like we're rapping a little, like, I can't say that because when you go hit and you get amped up and you start throwing live, if you're doing this off the tee, which you were in that video we just watched, you're doing this in a game.
A lot of it, yeah.
It's you played hockey, right?
No, just football.
Okay, so football. What position? So I can make
the line.
Okay. So if you're playing D-line and in practice, you're kind of holding a guy, right? Like you may be just a little grab. And it's nothing that you're going to get called for in a game. But what's going to happen in a game? You're amped up. Your adrenaline's going. That hold that you might have got away with in practice is now going to be this in the game, right? You're going to be yanking them. It's going to be exaggerated. Same concept when we're hitting. If we're hitting off a tee, and we feel like we're just missing the barrel below the ball maybe, or we just feel like we're just barely dropping our hands, you are. And it's going to get worse the further he moves back and the more intense the swing gets. It's going to get magnified tenfold, man. So when we go off the tee, I want you starting 10 4-hole shots. I want us feeling like we're just slightly open. And that's it. I don't want you thinking, oh, I got to keep my front shoulder here. Oh, I can't wrap. Oh, I can't do this. No. I'm usually going to leave you with 2 to 3 things. Thing number 1 for today is I want you just slightly opening your stance in a relaxed position.
And you think that for game, like just switch into that, or is this a drill?
So I would start on the tee, right? If you go hit off the tee tomorrow, tonight, whatever, start off the tee tomorrow. And look, if you got a league night game, dude, play with it. It ain't
Okay.
gonna hurt nothing. It ain't gonna
Yeah.
hurt nothing. Like, you don't think I've gone to league night games trying to work on something and struggled? Yeah, dude. I mean, that's how do you think I tell people all the time, how do you think I learned how to base hit somewhat? I'm not great at it. Like, I'm good at base hitting. I have my weekends where it's locked in and some weekends where it's not. But I went and played league night, man. No home run league night. I would go 1 for 3, 1 for 4. And every year that I've done that now for 6 years, it's gotten exponentially better. But it's going to come with failure, right? Trying to get better.
Yep.
So we're going to start with just let's focus on staying square to the pitcher and staying stacked in our back legs. So we're going to focus on that step back drill after we do our 10 warm-ups. I want you going straight into that step back with a hold. Just off the rip. So 10 four holes, nice smooth swing, low line drives. We want to make sure we're staying above the softball. We don't want any pop-ups. We want to try to keep it below the height of the fence. Even if you hit some choppers, fine, totally okay. But we don't want to see any top handers leaning back, anything like that. I want you feeling like we're staying tall on this back rib cage. I don't want to see any collapse.
That is my number one biggest thing. And I hit
okay, which goes back again to if you're here and we're turning, right? You're realizing what? You're like, holy shit, I'm late to this ball. I'm beat. You're like, I'm here and I've got to get here like this. So what happens? Boom. We turn. And what happens when we turn really quick and we're not in the right position? We collapse.
Yeah.
Everything goes here, right? So a lot of your misses are, especially if you're trying to hit a home run, are top hands and probably some low ground balls and some bad pop-ups. I mean, more so pop-ups, I would imagine. A lot of top handers are probably sneaking in there. And that's my miss too, man. I miss top hand all the time. I mean, I had in my eyes, I had a terrible Smoky, right? Like, I think I was like 740 something, and only half of my hits were home runs, which for me, like, that can't happen. Like, you want to be one of the best power hitters in the country, but you can only hit a home run half the time when they're free. So you're going to have moments where you're like, shit, this isn't working, or what am I doing? But you always got to have a square one, right? You always got to have, like, when you're 0 for 2 or you had a bad first 2 games of a weekend, you've got to have a foundation, right? So your foundation, and like most people's foundation should be, is first, am I staying stacked? And do I have a good visual on the pitcher? And that visual mindset, all I'm getting at there is that's our way of, like, am I closing myself off?
Mm.
Because, like, it all goes back to that front shoulder and us wrapping. Because it's my flaw too, dude. I'm telling you, like, you get in that I'm ready to launch position, and you just keep on, you just reaching, just keep on a little more juice. And every time you do that, we're getting further away from our point of contact. So it's a fine line of, like, loading up that energy and storing that energy and releasing it, or like, when do you stop, right? Like, when does that load stop? And so that visual of, can I see the pitcher, will be what tells you I got to stop. And so when you go hit off that tee, what I mean, I hope I'm not confusing, man, because sometimes I get in my own head about, like, I skip steps that I should be telling you. And sometimes I end up circling back, like, later. So I keep telling you, like, we keep loading and loading. That's what that first tee drill is for, right? I want you right here. I want you looking at the pitcher. That is, if anybody's going to watch this video, if you go hit off the tee, stop looking at the ball. Stop getting in front of the ball's right here. You're doing tee work and you're doing this. When have you ever in a game taken a swing like this? No. When you get on the tee, look out at the pitcher's mound, visualize a guy doing this or whatever they do, and have your eyes out here. Visually be able to see the pitcher while doing tee work. When you do that, that front shoulder stays open and stays in the right position. So we are eyes up. And then once we start our load, we're visualizing the ball. And then we're eyes to the tee. We can't just sit there and stare at the tee the whole time. It's easy to do.
Would that
And
load, would that be why I can't hit a ball on a line drive down the third baseline? Would that make sense?
yeah, right.
Is
I
that
mean,
something else?
there's no way your barrel is getting to where you want it to be if we're right. So like I'm in a perfect spot here for that question. So look, here you are doing a pull swing. That ball's middle in. Your barrel is in line with your hands. Your front side is all the way exposed, and your hips are closed off the other way. So we have just about everything we can working against what you just said you wanted to do.
And this ball was for sure supposed to go down the third baseline.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting at. So when we start that push swing, we're going to do 10 that way.
Yep.
I want you to then, when you do that jump back with a pause, I want you to put that ball out in front, right on the inner half.
Okay.
Like I want it as uncomfortably far away as you can put it.
Okay.
And feel like you're going to attack that ball, but your barrel is here, right? We're not getting this. So if you set the tee up wrong, you're setting yourself up for failure. I want to work on pulling this ball down the line, but you got the tee in a spot where you should be hitting it back at the pitcher. That's not anything you're doing wrong. You just think about if you did that in a game, right? If you're trying to pull a ball and you make point of contact in the middle of your body, you would never do that.
Yep.
You would go get that ball and hit it out in front. So that's what your tee mindset should be, is where, once I attack this ball, where do I want my point of contact to be? So once you hit that stride down and you go to attack, what depth would you want that ball at for that direction, right? Don't measure it based on where you start in the box. Like, oh, I stand here, so I want this ball here. No, because when you go hit, you stride and move forward. Everything moves towards where you're going. Like, I'm not saying we should be falling forward, but we're working to the softball, right? So that ball can't be here. And then we go to load and we go to plant and drive our energy, and now we're rotating and we're catching the ball here. No. That ball's got to be out here. We're here. So if you can't execute it off the tee, you can't execute it off a BP. Remember that. Like, and I have to remind myself of that, right? Like, so all last year I wouldn't hit middle, like, but I kept getting told, like, hey man, you gotta learn to do this, you gotta learn to do. I was like, man, I just want to, do that, like, yeah. And then when I would try to do it, I wasn't successful. So this winter, for 2 months after the season, all I did was hit middle off the tee. Literally put an L screen out there, and I would go, if you can't hit middle 10 times in a row off a tee, you're never going to be able to do it when you have to in a game. So I would just sit there and do the same thing. And that applies to that poolside swing you're wanting, right? If you can't set the tee up in the perfect spot and hit 8 out of 10 poolside lines, you're not ready to have that in the game. Stop expecting that in BP. Develop it on the tee first, especially in your shoes, right? Someone who's made all this ground in their swing in this short amount of time. It's kind of like losing weight, right? Like if you're 400 pounds and you have a client come in, well, the first thing you tell them is what? Hey man, stop drinking sodas. Let's get you doing some cardio, and let's clean up our diet just a little. You don't even have to do great, right? Like cut out sodas, cut out sugar, and just show up 3 times a week to the gym. And what happens? They lose 50 pounds in 2 months, 3 months. Okay, so what happens after that first 100 pounds? It gets really fucking hard. It gets really hard to lose weight, right? People get discouraged. That's why people put the weight back on. Because, well, I lost 50 pounds in 3 months. Yeah, man, well, you were eating 7 bags of candy and 9 Cokes a day. So when we cut those out, it kind of got real simple. But now you don't have that, right? Like initially your swing was pretty bad. You were pretty unrefined, untouched up. Now you have pretty good foundation, man. Like you've developed a nice little softball swing. But the tough part about that is now we've got to kind of peel back some of these bad habits that you're doing it well, right? Like, I mean, there's no doubt about that. When you sent me that first video and then you sent me that follow up, I was like, okay, wow, we are in a way better spot than I thought. Like, right? I was like super concerned. I was like, man, like if you were here, we could fix it. But then you sent that second one. I'm like, okay, we can do this over the phone. Like we can make this no problem. So we're gonna focus on, let's see. Let's see if I can find one more here. Let me pull up Hitting with the Nation because we do T work on there a ton.
So one of the reasons I'm just going to list while you're looking that up, some of the thoughts that I've had. I want to know if like what's
Yeah.
bullshit from these thoughts and what's because so for the longest time, it felt like I was striding too far and that was causing the dip. So then I brought the tee in thinking that was going to help like stay tall and like drive, you know what I mean? Like without dipping, without reaching. And like I don't know, it was like I still have it a little bit, but it's like that big level change was like so bad for me. It was like I would dip so far and lunge so far with my stride, but it was because I had zero hips. And now like in
Right.
some, and I think so I think that open hip stance where you're talking about that should fix that even more.
I think that's going to answer a lot of your problems. I think that's going to put a click in your head. I really do, man.
And when you do the open stance, what like am I loading up a shitload on the back leg before I go, or are you pretty balanced? Or
So
does that is that not as big of a deal?
let's see. I'm actually, it's funny you said that. I am pulling up that exact thing to show you right now. All right. So here is the other night at BP. So here's my picture, right? Look where my front shoulder is. I try to aim it right at this light pole here, that left center, just left of second base.
Even if you're pushing, right?
Yeah, even
Yep.
if I'm pushing, 100%, right? The only thing that pushing gets where you're different is now we can close off. Now we can, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
Now you can close yourself off when we get to that push. So here's my load, right? So back knee inside, back hips inside. Look at my shoulder. Yes, I'm leaned over, but look at my shoulder line with my hip line, right? Like,
Yep.
I'm not crossing my body at all. Like, I'm not torquing in a circular motion almost at all. So then we go to play. And it's really, we're just trying to think uncoil. Nice and loose, load. And see, and I'm even getting a little tail on a couple of these balls. This was one of my worst BP rounds of the year, if I'm being honest. Like, I felt I had actually ended up having food poisoning on the way home. But like this round of BP was bad, dude. Like it was a struggle. Like I could not get in a groove. So see, there's a push. I'm glad that popped up. Let's see here. Keep going. I just want that push. I think it was a tap. It's funny. I'm sitting here watching and I'm catching a few things I'm doing wrong. Frustrating. A lot of it was what I struggled with at the Smoky. Boom. Perfect. Okay. So now this ball's away, right?
Yep.
Look at this angle of this front shoulder here. Now it's pointing at right center. Now my hip is at center. Like everything is going that way. Why? Because I recognize what? This pitch is away. Like, so now I know, like, now I've got to line myself up to go that way. Like, I recognize instantly, like, okay, pitch is away, front shoulder closes down, and now the swing is just directioned that way. And you can get away with that on push, and not get away with it. It should be like this for everybody. When we recognize that ball's away, and I'm looking at the picture right here, ball's coming. I'm like, oh shit, it's away. So now I can close. Why can I close on a way pitch, but I can't close that front shoulder on an inside pitch?
When the ball's outside, you're gonna have to go get it anyways.
That's right, right?
Yeah.
I used to always yell at kids all the time. We're working on hitting the ball to right center, and in baseball, softball doesn't matter. Why in the world do you need to finish to left field to hit a ball to right center? You don't. Your back hip and your back shoelace and your back knee and your back quad should be pointed in the direction that ball is going. You shouldn't be torqued to left field, which honestly is hilarious because look at my dumbass in this video. I was trying to go to right center and look where my body is angled. And guess what I fucking did with that pitch?
You rolled it over.
I rolled it over.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it's just like golf. It's the same concept. I miss too. I miss all the time. That was that ball right there, getting an away pitch up in the zone, trying to go to right center. Me to hit it off the L screen would be like you trying to pull a ball down the line and hitting it, to right field. Like that's how big of a miss that is for me. Now, if you did that right, you'd be like, oh, fuck it. I still blew the pitcher up. And it's just like golf. When I go play golf and I miss the green by 10 feet, I'm like, hell yeah, that's right there, baby. Let's go. But if Tiger misses the green by 10 feet, he's on suicide watch. And it's not a good thing. Like it's terrible. But you're going to miss. It's just understanding like we all miss. And our goal is to do what? Make those misses smaller and make them not as bad, right? Like that was a miss, but I still hit it 100 on the barrel with topspin. Like if that's my miss, okay, I can live with that. Not what I want, but we know why, right? I mean, when you finish, whether it's pulling, whether it's pushing, your hips and your back hip and your back foot shoelaces should be going in the same direction of your ball flight. It's simple. So when you go do those 10 oppo swings, right? Your shoulder is going to close. It is. It's going to close off to that ball. And that's what I want. But I need you thinking like, I'm going to stay square. Because if you're thinking stay square and not wrap and we're not closing off, when you do close off, it's going to be the right amount because you're going to close. I just can't have you
way closed
doing this.
Yep.
I need you doing this and delivering that way. And then when we go poolside, we're going to be here. But all that's changing is not our stand. It's not anything that has to do with our setup. We're going to set up the same way, but you're going to recognize what? Inside pitch. So when you load, we know that we're going to have to stay more square because we've got to clear sooner. And we're trying to get everything working that direction. If that makes sense, right? Like I hope that is somewhat clear. I wish I've never had to do a lesson over the phone and I'm not against it. As long as when you go hit off the tee, send me some videos, right? Obviously that's what I want. I want to see your swings. And then that way, when we come back, we can go over those things. So
yeah, absolutely.
We're doing high tee to the push side. I want 10 in the 4-hole. And as you go and it gets comfortable, be more aggressive and try to go harder. And then I want 10 jump backs to the pull side. And I want you thinking almost fair or foul on these. Like if you hit some foul, that's okay. Right. I'm cool with that. I really want you trying to get that barrel out there and getting comfortable with that. And then once you hit a few foul, like once you get done with those 10, right? Try to hit the last 2 or 3 foul. Like really try to hit them foul with your body. And then right after those 3, I want you taking that same swing and same concept of like hitting the ball foul, but I want you to stay inside of it with your hands and go to left center.
Okay.
So it's going to feel super weird, and make sure we have a video of these swings from the back, like directionally right behind you almost. Or like that side, like
right behind the view where the ball's going.
Yeah. So, basically. Yeah. Where I can see you and the ball.
Yep.
And that's going to tell us a lot. That's going to tell us kind of where our hands are coming through the zone. It's going to tell us if we're staying closed the right amount, if our hands and hips are acting independently. Like, it's going to kind of pick apart a few things that we need to see. So if you can just focus on those two things, man, seriously, like when you go hit BP, make that T work a priority. And then once you get a feel for how much you can get away with, like torque wise, like getting in our attack position and being stacked, it gets fun because you can get creative with stuff, right? You can start kind of, because right now, like if I had to ask you, what is your swing thoughts when you're hitting BP rounds right now?
We
Like
do.
what are some things that you focus on?
Well, we start push, then we go middle, then we go pull. On the push side, I'm going right center 3-4. I've been really liking. I'm usually a push hitter in a game just because we're playing D or C and we don't have a lot of home runs. And if I
Of
pull the
course,
ball, it's stupid.
which
Um,
it makes sense for your swing because what I'm seeing, right? Like that closed off, it allow you close yourself off, but that does, like I said, it doesn't affect your push swing, right? It keeps it,
yeah,
it doesn't hurt
yeah.
it.
It totally when you were saying that, it totally made sense. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
me,
So
100%.
it covers you up, right? It's a safety blanket. But then all of a sudden, I would say, what's your swing thought when you know you need to pull a home run,
I just go left center.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But what happens is if you're wrapping, left center can get, when you miss to left field, where do you hit it on the barrel or where do you hit it on the bat?
When I go left, it's usually a lot of, I would say handle. I
Yeah.
try in a game, dude.
You don't have to guess. I know the answer. It's
Yeah,
handle. It's grip tape, dude,
it feels like shit.
because you're getting here, right? And we're wrapping and we're going, when you do this movement, when we uncoil out of that bad position, every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So my action is coiling. My reaction is front shoulder flies open, right? Because you got to get back to square. So you kick that front shoulder out to make room. When you kick that front shoulder out and your hands are still back, guess what your hands do? The action is our front shoulders kicking out. The reaction to that,
Yep.
look where my hands go. So as an athlete, what do? Holy shit, my barrel's not going to get there. You know it. You feel it. You go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And you go, oh shit. And you panic and you wrap around the ball. It's inevitable. I mean, it's my miss too. It's most people's misses. They just don't understand why they're missing. They're like,
So
I
would
don't get it.
that would make so is this why people would say like I've had a lot of people and obviously like trusting the words a lot of people say, but it's like that the top hand's not there. They say like I'm a bottom hand swinger. With that would make sense if I'm yanking with that bottom hand to be able to get there, but it's not really the issue, right? Or is that a different thing?
So this is your driver, right? Your bottom hand drives everything. It controls the direction of the barrel. That top hand, dude, think about it. It's literally all it is. It doesn't have anything to do with getting the barrel through, getting this or creating power. That top hand does one thing. It keeps the barrel in the position it needs to be. So what I mean by that, so many guys think this top hand does this, right? Like they think it, woo, power, right? Like this is I'm whipping it through. Bro, I tell everybody, go grab a bat. Go grab a bat, put one hand on it. Go hit a ball. Tell me which hand you'd rather have on your bat, right? It's real simple. You want your bottom hand on the bat. You don't want your top hand, I promise you. That top hand has one job. When I'm coming through, that top hand is my feeler for where my barrel needs to be. So if I recognize the pitch is kind of up in the zone and I'm pulling it, I know that top hand needs to be extra strong, right? I know I need to keep this barrel up above the ball. which is backside here and top hand working. But other than that, that's all that's doing, right? Is guiding my barrel to the plane I want it on. So you want to be a top hand. You don't want to be a top hand hitter. Just remember that.
Well, that's
I
2 months
mean,
of training down the drain. Everybody's ever. I've been focused on that top hand for like the last 2 months because everybody says it's.
well, it's dude, it's I don't know everything, but I know what I've created in my concept and idea of hitting baseballs. And you your top hand seems to be the issue, right? But in just 30-ish minutes, I've explained to you why those things are happening, right?
Why it's
Everybody goes, you gotta fix this, fix this. Well, how? Well, it's your top hand. Your top hand's weak, man. It's collapsing. Yeah, Jim's right. Your top hand is collapsing, but it's not because it's weak. It's because you're using the rest of your body incorrectly, right?
Yep.
Trust me. You just said your top hand feels what when you hit? It feels like it does what? What if I said what is the problem with your top hand? What would you have told me?
Before the call.
Yeah, but just yeah, what in your head, what was wrong? What were people telling you? You're a bottom hand hitter.
Yeah, I felt
Okay.
like I was pulling, like I wasn't keeping the barrel. Like it was too many home runs because I was
Okay.
loosey
Right.
top hand.
And
Yeah.
that's not because of your top hand.
Yeah.
That's because we're wrapping our front shoulder and
Yeah.
flying our front shoulder open.
That's the only
And
way
then
to
our
get there.
hands are casting out.
Yep.
Right. So you can't have a good top hand if you're doing this.
Hmm.
What the hell is your top hand going to do right
You can't do shit. Yeah.
You're going to, what, are you going to throw it to the first base dugout and get jammed even more? No. Your top hand is doing those negative actions because of the initial action. And that is the biggest gap with guys who teach hitting, right? Is so many guys. That's a big reason why I got out of it. Was because I would listen to guys go, "Oh, his top hand's doing this. We got to get him doing one hand drills, right?" And the whole time the kid's front shoulder is closed off, or the kid's not, or he's not building up the energy in his back hip properly. But yet we're doing top hand drills. When the fuck you hit one handed in a game? You don't. Like I used to hate that. Like we're gonna do top hand for what? Like when I do top hand drills, if you were where you were in that first video you sent me, we'd be doing top hand drills and bottom hand drills because you got to learn to control the bat and what each hand does independently. But you're beyond that. You really are. So most of the times your hands aren't the problem, right? Like when I'm
Good to
screwing
know.
up, I start with my hands, and you know what I start with? How tight am I holding the bat? Right? Am I squeezing the bat? Probably. If I go back and watch games where I've made 2 or 3 outs in a game, they all have the same thing in common. I'm over swinging, I'm swinging at bad pitches, and I'm doing things that I don't usually do. Right? I've left a game plan, and that's not physical. That's a mental problem. That's mentally like not being checked into what I was trying to accomplish. So always remember that. Sometimes it's not your swing. Sometimes it's pitch selection. Sometimes it's not being mentally in line with what you're trying to accomplish in the box. Like if you go up in the box and you're like, I'm going 4-hole, and then the guy throws you a middle end pitch, first pitch, and you pull it, well, that doesn't mean that you suck at pushing the ball. That means you swung at an inside pitch and left your game plan. So you got to keep those things in perspective because so many times guys will try to fix things in a swing that aren't broken. And then you create a whole new problem. Like that's why today I didn't tell you. The only thing I told you with stance was what? I just want you a little bit open.
Yep.
I want you to just see the pitcher better. I didn't tell you where to put your hands, how to hold the bat, how to stand, how to move. I don't care. If you want to start with your bat, by your nutsack, dude, more power to you. I don't care, but you better get it to where it's got to be successful. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, and I'm not a guy that can sit here and preach pitch selection because 2 years ago I had 400 at bats and got walked 12 times, and I think like 8 of them were intentional. So like I'm trying to also, if you got advice on how to be better at pitch selection, let me know because I'm trying to get better at that. So, I mean, we talked about KP and that, how good he is, right? He is. He's great. I mean, he's the best hitter in the game right now, and it's not even close. I tell people that all the time. It's not even close. He's been doing it for 10 years. He lives it. He gets hitting lessons for a job, man. Like this guy hits every day. But 50% of the time this year, 50%, or it's actually like 54, he's either gotten walked or hit a home run. 54% of his at bats have ended in a walk or home run. And then hell, the other 46% of the time he's killing, kids that are in the field, right? Like, I mean, he's blowing balls through people's chest. So when you're getting walked and hitting home runs at that kind of clip, I mean, you're better than everybody. It's almost impossible to get him out. And that's why he's been on base 86.5% of the time this year.
It's insane.
It's wild. And people always like, oh, I want to swing like him. I'm like, you can't swing like him. Like you can't. But what you can do is try to replicate and duplicate the actions that guys like him and Riley and me and even like Arliss, dude. Arliss is a great guy to watch because it's so simple. Our leadoff guy, it's so simple. And he doesn't move in his stance. He's very calm. He doesn't do a lot of things right, but he meets the ball on a flat plane almost every time. He's never collapsed on his backside. He hits everything out in front. Whenever he gets beat, he has some of the quickest hands, so he's on top of it. It's like, I mean, it's just different. We don't have that margin of error with a lot of guys that are in E and D and C ball. Like you've got to be better. You can't afford to let a ball get, 5-6 inches too deep because you can't overcome that. So you got to put yourself in a situation to where you have the upper hand, which is going to attack the softball, keeping our front shoulders somewhat square to the pitcher, right? We can't close off, and making sure that we've built up a stacked holding of like energy position, right? I call it a launch position. Your good launch position. We want back hip feeling tight. We want IT band on that back leg feeling nice and, tensed out, because that's what we're driving from. So I could sit here for 3 hours, so I won't do that to you. But for T work, push side, pull side out in front with jump backs and holds. And then when you go hit BP, I want you just going with the pitch. I don't want you doing directional during BP. I want you doing any of your directional work off of a tee right now.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is if you go out there and you try to go, all right, man, I'm going to go 5 push. Well, and your guy throws you 3 inside, 3 outside, 2 down the middle, you're not going to see a lot of success there. But what you can do is when you go hit live, just have your guy throw. Swinging at strikes the best we can. And when it's at its peak, you can even do it out loud, man. Sit outside or push, pull, right? Say that. And that way in your head, you're recognizing where the pitch is right away. So if that ball's at its arc and you go push, now we know we're pushing. Now we know if we go to swing and it's not a pitch that we can push, now we know we didn't swing at the right pitch. So you identify all of your flaws right away. So let's say you go, here's the pitch, you go push swing, and you roll it over to the 6th man or to the shortstop. Okay, well, that's one of 2 things. That either means you swung at a ball that was inside, that wasn't a pitch to drive the other way, or 2, our front shoulder flew open and we tried to pull a pitch, and now we've pulled off everything. So for live pitching, don't get up there. And I love when guys give that advice, dude. Hey, man, I'm a D player. I'm trying to do this, this, and this. When you go hit BP, set up cones. What? No, dude. Recognize pitches and adjust to where those pitches are and learn how to react to things. Learn how to react to an outside pitch. Learn how to react to a pull pitch. Because the T work is where we're going to develop the habitual, the repetition, the grind of hitting and fine tuning your swing. Once you start hitting live, dude, we're blank. I want you to be dumb. We're recognizing pitches away, push it, pitches in, pull it, pitches away, push it, pitches in, pull it. Simple. So just focus on those things. I really want to get some videos now that you have that thought in mind. And once we get those videos, we'll be able to tell a lot more of like what that next step is for you.
Sounds good
Those
to
are
me, dude. This is awesome.
that's going to be our foundation for now, right? I want good load, good shoulders, nice and relaxed, and really throw that top hand. No, I'm kidding. Don't throw the top
You
hand.
just saved me 2 months of training right there, so that's perfect. I'm gonna head to the fields right away after this, and then we got league night tonight. So I'll
Look
send you
what my top hand is. Right? Like it's not following the ball.
dude, it was pissing me off so much because I was told it so many times and it like wasn't making like I was watching
working,
the
right?
good
Like
hitters.
it wasn't working. I'm telling you, when you open that front shoulder, I cannot wait to see your first couple swings. When you go take, I'm telling you, dude, it's gonna change everything for you. And just make sure when we're stepping on that front foot too. Now on push pitches, it's okay to close that front foot. Remember, it's okay to step towards the pitch. I'm good with that. But when we're going pull in middle, it should almost be directly at the pitcher. And if you catch yourself stepping across on pull stuff, like say you're working on pulling the ball and that front foot is stepping towards second.
Yep.
I want you to think step as a third baseman.
Okay.
In fact, when you go do your pull stuff, I'm in your head,
Think
step towards third. Yeah. And then if you're over exaggerating it and it's obviously making it a problem, step towards shortstop.
Okay.
So, and just work your way down from there. But yeah, shoot me some videos, dude. I'll take a look at them over the next few days and then we can touch base.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, dude, I enjoy it. So I'm always down for this. As long as we can make it line up with schedules, I'm happy to do this, man.
Cool. I'm a geek about this. So I'm
Yeah,
game
me
anytime.
too. I love it, man. Like I'm super passionate about it and I'm always going to give you 100% when we're talking about the swing. And if I ever like don't make sense or something just feels like, what the fuck did he just say? Just ask me. Like seriously, if you have any questions before we hang up, feel free to ask. Or if you think of something later, shoot me a message. I'm headed to the gym here in a bit, so I'll take a look when I get home and I'll let you know.
Perfect. See you, dude.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate
Later,
it.
bro. Yes, sir.